Over 2 months ago in my Year of Witch Queen review, I talked about Season of the Risen and how it surprised me because most seasons that release alongside expansions are usually overshadowed or feel disconnected from the expansion's main story. I used the likes of Undying and Hunt to express those criticisms that those seasons normally get, but Risen surprised me because it started alongside the Witch Queen's story and branched off from it, overall making it a good seasonal story on its own. Risen also had a pretty good seasonal activity called Battlegrounds, not to be confused with Chosen's Battlegrounds, Seraph's Battlegrounds, and even Defiance Battlegrounds, which I'll touch on later. The loot was great too. It was also craftable, and the origin trait Land Tank is a really strong trait to have, even a year later. What I'm getting at here is Risen, as a season releasing alongside the main expansion, did almost everything right with what a season like that should have done. So, a year later, Season of Defiance releases alongside Lightfall. Did it improve on what Risen had done? Did the narrative do better than Lightfall's controversial writing? And was the season any good? Season of Defiance released alongside Lightfall, and with it came a story of fear, loss, and mourning. We're first sent a message through the hologram on Neomuna. Marisov sends us a cry for help as we find out the Shadow Legion are taken prisoners on Earth. With this, we arrive on the farm, a Year 1 social hub now destroyed by the raging war. This springs off the seasonal story, and I was optimistic because the premise of the plot had me excited for what was to come. After chatting with Devrim and Mizrax, we were then sent into our first Defiance battlegrounds. We ended up freeing Amanda in the pyramid structure after her ship went down while she and a fire team tried to take on the Witness head first. Throughout the weeks we end up finding out more about Amanda's past, how she survived the first collapse, as she is lightless. The encounters we got with Amanda and the supporting characters were honestly pretty touching, and throughout the first few weeks, I had growing suspicions for her. In the 4th week, we got a message from Devrim, passing on a message for backup. This time, there was no battleground mission. We broke into a Cabal headquarters in the EDZ and fought our way through a familiar setting. After defeating the boss, we had a cutscene play.
I'm here. In position?
I have located the prisoners. Come with me. Quickly.
It's gone into lockdown.
We're trapped.
I'm on it. Come on.
Go. Now. We are through. The hatch leads outside. We are safe.
That's all that matters. I warned you.
Where's Amanda?
Amanda, come in. Amanda. Are you there?
This honestly surprised the community. I may have had my suspicions, but I still didn't expect it. This made waves across all of social media, some stating that it felt forced, while others like me were saddened by this. But it's what followed that made this harder to bear.
Devotion, bravery, sacrifice.
Not too long before, the sudden and unfortunate passing of Lance Reddick, the voice of our commander Zavala, and a talent like no other, passed away. The community started creating memorials around Zavala and playing as Titans wearing his emblem, doing their best to honour his talent and incredible performances within the game, not only where he starred, but also played. The following weeks had all the characters mourning the death of Amanda, each of them sharing memories and reminiscing their time with her and leaving her a monument planted in the farm. While there were some good moments within the story, such as Devrim finally coming back into the spotlight and all the characters having good chemistry between each other, having Amanda's death that worked perfectly to bring shock into the story, and the overall themes of loss and fear to those who will be next on the witnesses hit list worked really well. But the rest of the story couldn't keep me invested. The missions didn't feel great, apart from the jailbreak mission that was easily the highlight of the season. We did eventually get a finale to the story where we blew up the orbital prison that was floating above Earth. The mission did nothing too great to finalize the story or give us enough to feel satisfied. Overall, I give the story a 6 out of 10. The themes, characters, and the shock of Amanda's death was easily the highlights of this season, whereas the weak overall narrative and mission design really brought this story down. Now that the story's out the way, was the activity any good? In all honesty, not really. We were given 3 battlegrounds, on the EDZ, Cosmodrome, and Orbital Prison. They all played roughly the same and had bits of story and lore spoken by all the characters. While they were fun and well designed, I personally couldn't bring myself to play more than the necessary amount. The battlegrounds on the EDZ is personally the easiest and the best one to fly through. The Orbital Prison is my favourite out of the 3, and it's purely because of the skybox. But when it was another Battlegrounds playlist, this is the 4th Battlegrounds playlist to be called that, and the identity of Battlegrounds is losing my interest. Where the design of this activity is solid, and the landscapes and story told within the missions are easily the best part of it, I really couldn't load this activity if it wasn't for the reward of pinnacles. Overall, I do think the activity is solid. It plays well, and the story told within the mission by all the characters is written really well. I honestly can't bring myself to play another one, and to me, it's just another Battlegrounds. 6 out of 10. Risen had really good seasonal weapons to release in the year of the Witch Queen. They were all craftable and had a really good origin trait. We got a total of 6 weapons to grind for and craft. The standout options to me were the auto rifle and fusion. While the Prodigal Return grenade launcher could roll with Volt Shot, I never found much use for it since Forbearance is still a monster within the sandbox. The auto rifle was my most used weapon out of the bunch because of the roll, Envious Assassin, and Target Lock, which could double my magazine size, but the fusion rifle that can roll with Envious Assassin and Incandescent still holds up to this day. The weapons we got this season aren't too strong, as most of the weapons are part of the weaker archetypes. With the right buffs or nerfs to the stronger weapons, I do believe these weapons could see some more play. Overall, I give the weapons a 6 out of 10. Throughout the leaks, there was a certain glaive spotted within the files. The Vex themed weapon was first thought to be the new raid exotic, but suddenly a bunch of weird Vex nodes were spotted in the gulch. Players quickly found all the locations and a gateway was opened in a hidden cave. Once players entered, we were given access to the new exotic mission, and it was beautiful. This mysterious signal gave us access to the Vex network and guided us through the landscape, bringing us to encounter these Vex that hold important data to whoever this mysterious person is. Throughout the mission, more hints were given to us that the man behind this is no other than Ashamir himself. Eventually, we were led to destroy Brachion, a rival of Ashamir. Then, we were rewarded with the Vex Caliber exotic glaive. This mission is honestly great, and is one of my favourite exotic missions. The pacing, the encounters, the exploration, and the secrets hidden within are some of the best in the season. While the glaive isn't the strongest, the name is good enough for me. Overall, I give the exotic mission a 9 out of 10. Compared to the likes of Season of the Risen, this season does not do so well in comparison. But to the likes of Hunt and Undying, this season blows them out the water. I may have had my critiques to say, but this is honestly the most I've played a starring season. While this does get an average of 7 out of 10, I can honestly say that I've had a pleasant time during this season. Season of the Deep is around the corner, and on a first glance is really shaking up what we expect, and as usual, our review will come out when the season comes to a close. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, these are my opinions, and I would love to hear yours, but that's all from me. I'll see you in the oceans of Titan. Goodbye.